The year is 2013. The streets of Sydney, Australia, echo with a constant sound, the wail of sirens and the roar of gunfire. The news speaks of a city terrified, of an all-out war waged in broad daylight. At the center of it all, one name is repeated, like a death sentence: brothers for life. But how did a brotherhood forged in loyalty become a force of self-destruction? How did the brothers for life end up hunting each other in a hail of bullets? The answer isn't found on the blood-soaked streets, but in the most secure and isolated place in all of Australia. The story begins in the quiet of a cell in Goulburn Supermax, a concrete fortress designed to hold the country's most dangerous criminals. Its occupant is Bassam Hamzy, a man who isn't just serving a sentence, but building an empire. In 1998, Hamzy murdered a young man, Chris Tumiziz, outside a nightclub, a crime that earned him a 21-year sentence. But prison didn't neutralize him. On the contrary, it became his sanctuary. The state, in its attempt to exert maximum control, unwittingly created the perfect environment for Hamzy to become an architect of chaos. In 2007, a raid on his cell revealed the scale of his ambition. Police found drawings of AK-47 rifles, notes on financial transactions, and a hand-drawn logo that read Assassins Australia, FFL. Alongside them, a manifesto, a creed for his new organization: courage, honor, no mercy, pity for the weak, family for life, and BFL. It was the first time authorities had seen the name that would soon sow panic: Brothers for Life. The prison system, designed to isolate him, became his operations center. Despite extreme surveillance, Hamzy got a contraband mobile phone and used it to unleash hell. He made up to 450 calls a day, organizing kidnappings, torture, and a massive drug trafficking network from inside Australia's most secure prison. The fortress meant to contain him had transformed into his headquarters, demonstrating a terrifying paradox. The attempt to lock up the monster had only given him a castle from which to direct his war. Hamzy wasn't just a criminal, he was an ideologue. In his cell, next to the weapon drawings, police found a printed photo of Osama bin Laden. This discovery revealed his master strategy: to merge the codes of suburban gangs with a radical interpretation of Islam. Inside the prison, he became a leader to other inmates, converting them to his sect and giving them a twisted purpose. The violence was no longer just about money or power. It now had an ideological justification, which made his followers dangerously loyal. This new army didn't wait long to act. In 2008, a series of massive raids led to the arrest of Hamzy's father, brother, and cousin, dismantling a drug lab and confiscating huge quantities of methamphetamine, cannabis, and ecstasy. The operation confirmed what the police already suspected. Brothers for Life wasn't just a gang. It was a family business, the Hamzy clan at war with the world. The two faces of power, Bankstown versus Blacktown in the streets of Western Sydney, B4L, grew like a plague, absorbing the remnants of other street gangs and consolidating its dominance. Soon, the empire split into two main factions, two pillars that supported the organization, but whose rivalry would become the crack that brought it all down. On one side, there was the Bankstown chapter, predominantly Lebanese. It was led by Bassam's cousin, Mohammed Hamzy, nicknamed Little Crazy. They were ostentatious, flaunting their wealth with $80,000 Breitling watches and supercars. On the other side, there was the Blacktown chapter, predominantly Afghan. It was led by Fahad Qawmi, a man described in police documents as an impetuous and unpredictable gang leader. Qawmi's ambition was simple and terrifying: to take over Sydney. This ethnic and leadership division was the tectonic fault line destined to shake the Brotherhood's foundations. The fall of Brothers for Life wasn't caused by the police, nor by a rival gang. It was initiated from within, by its own code of honor, as fragile as it was violent. A simple insult was the spark that ignited an inferno that would consume the organization. It all started when TB4L members, Basim Hijazi and Alex Ollie, made a fatal mistake. They called Mohammed Little Crazy Hamzi's wife a gold digger and a slut. In the world of B4L, a verbal offense demanded a lethal response. Mohammed Hamzi, enraged, planned his revenge. On October 14, 2012, Hamzi lured Hijazi to a meeting in Grenoble. When Hijazi's car arrived, Hamzi opened fire, shooting 11 times into the vehicle. But he didn't know that Hijazi wasn't alone. In the passenger seat was Yahya Ahmoud, another gang member. Ahmoud died instantly, the victim of a hail of bullets not meant for him. This murder, born from a petty insult, was the first shot in a civil war. It proved that the gang's internal logic was a suicide pact. Their need to project strength through disproportionate violence made them inherently unstable, doomed to implode. What followed was an outrageous and lawless wave of violence that the press dubbed the underworld rampage. The war between the Bankstown and Blacktown factions erupted with unprecedented brutality. Farhad Kormi and his Blacktown clan launched a campaign of terror to annihilate their rivals. The spiral of violence accelerated at a dizzying pace, with each attack generating an even more savage reprisal. The Brotherhood was broken, and now the brothers hunted each other with a ferocity reserved for the worst of enemies. On October 29, 2013, Kormi's hitman tried to assassinate Mohammed Hamzi, but in an act of lethal incompetence, they killed his cousin, Mahmoud Hamzi. Instead, days later, on November 4th, the violence reached its lowest, most despicable point. In a retaliatory attack, the 14-year-old sister of a gang member was hit by 300 shotgun pellets, suffering life-altering injuries. The war no longer had rules. Even Bassam Hamzi's aunt, Maha Hams, was shot 8 times in the legs through her front door. The ideological glue of their creed had completely dissolved, revealing the raw truth. It was all about money, ego, and territory. The public terror, unleashed by B4L, forced the New South Wales police to evolve. The perception that authorities had lost control of the streets was untenable. In response, they launched Operation Talon, a massive and unprecedented initiative to take back the city. Operation Talon wasn't just a task force. It was a revolution in policing tactics. A proactive model was implemented, abandoning the old strategy of reacting to crime. A real-time intelligence hub operating 20 hours a day was created. New technology like automatic number plates recognition was deployed, and community collaboration was encouraged to gather information. The brutality of Brothers for Life had an unexpected consequence. It forced a permanent modernization of the Australian police, creating a more sophisticated and effective force, specifically designed to combat the threat they represented. The results were drastic, with a drop of up to 77% in shootings in high-priority areas. With the police applying new and overwhelming pressure, the net closed in on B4L. Raids and arrests followed one after another, dismantling the gang's leadership. Piece by piece, a senior police official issued a public warning that resonated like the end of an era. If after the last 24 hours, you are still a member of Brothers for Life, you need to have a serious think about your life expectancy. The drama moved to the courts. The trials of the Kormi brothers became a media spectacle. Farhad Kormi was described by the prosecution as an unpredictable leader who ordered savage beatings on members who disobeyed him. Justice Peter Hamill, in sentencing Farhad to a minimum of 43 years in prison, called the gang's actions an outrageous and lawless underworld rampage. It was the official end of the reign of Brothers for Life. But although the original chapters were destroyed, the culture of violence they normalized did not disappear. The ashes of Before gave rise to a new, even bloodier conflict. The remnants of the Hamzi clan became embroiled in a new war with the rival Al-Medin crime network. In the following years, the violence continued to claim key lives from the Hamzi family, including Bassem's brother, Ghassan Imam, and his cousin, Bilal Hamzi, both shot dead. The story of Brothers for Life is the story of a lie. They were not brothers for life. They were a brand built on a fragile foundation of ego and greed, held together by a twisted ideology that crumbled at the first sign of conflict. Their only true legacy is one of blood, betrayal, and a ghost that still haunts the streets of Sydney. And the most chilling part is that, although the gang was dismantled, its name has resurfaced in other Australian cities, a reminder that this cycle of violence is never truly broken. Thank you for staying until the end. Behind every video are hours of research to bring you the complete story. If you value that effort, the best way to support us is by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. See you in the next investigation.